Andrew Sweeney from Support Linfield. A new housing strategy is being prepared by Ku-ring-gai Council. Many residents have a view on the form, extent and location of development in Ku-ring-gai. Support Linfield felt it important to bring the Linfield component to your attention and provide an opportunity to have your say. We are running an online survey to understand the community's views and will submit this to Council. This presentation seeks to provide context that will assist in the completion of the survey. The strategy seeks to increase the density by an additional 1,600 dwellings within 800 metres of Linfield Station over the next 15 years. This quantum is contentious. The housing strategy seeks to establish and plan for what is the appropriate housing types to suit the community in the future. Housing demand in Australia is driven by about 160,000 people net migration annually. The New South Wales Government, through the Greater Sydney Planning Commission, allocates proportions of this growth to different regions, and councils in turn allocate this throughout their local government area. Linfield's contribution is about 110 out of the 30,000 dwellings that are needed across Sydney annually. Ku-ring-gai Council has created 3 options for Linfield. The study area is an 800 metre radius from Linfield Station, about a 10-minute walk. The logic being, people want to live near public transport, retail and community and amenity. The next part of the study has identified a radius that will determine what is the developable area. Within this, heritage, conservation, new strata apartments, bushfire, riparian areas, environment, critical vegetation have been excluded from this developable area. It's largely the areas that are left in white. These are the unconstrained or unrestrained detached houses, shops and older apartments that could be used for development to achieve the increased dwelling needs. The next part of the study considers what type and number of dwellings are required, townhouses, apartments and houses, and where these should be located. There are 3 scenarios under consideration that I will step you through. Scenario 1, to orientate, the station is in the middle. You can see the east and west sides of the station and highway. Gordon and Chatswood directions are shown on the map. The Linfield Village Hub is shown as the blue oval shape. The unconstrained land in yellow to the west is used for townhouses. Although 2 to 3 stories, these would be quite densely developed and would change the character of the area which has remained largely untouched to date. The core or mixed use areas remain largely as is, but with an increased height to maybe 5 to 7 stories. The development footprint on the eastern side of the station is increased significantly to accommodate more apartments. I guess these will be 4 to 5 stories in a fairly heavily landscaped setting. Scenario 2, the yellow land to the west is used for townhouses, but over a lesser footprint. A new area to the north towards Treats Road is included and could be either apartments or townhouses. The small blue dots in the mixed use area are buildings of up to 15 stories. The apartment footprint on the east is shown in red, is expanded with an area shown in big pink, designated for manor houses, which is a new typology. These would be like grand homes that would be divided into smaller apartments. Scenario 3, under this scenario, the increased along the highway density, but the western area of the highway remains untouched as it is. The small blue dots represent buildings of up to 15 stories. On the east side, the manor house idea is dropped and the pink becomes yellow townhouses. Having looked at all 3 scenarios, it feels like we are forced to choose your poison or the least worst option. At this point, Support Linfield decided to step back and look at the problem through a different lens. We think there are alternative solutions that might provide a better outcome for all stakeholders. Our starting point, the missing middle, which is a variety of housing typologies that people want to live in. As you can see, they are nuanced beyond traditional planning. Gentle density, a global community-driven planning movement that supports increased population, but in a way that doesn't destroy the character that existing communities find appealing. In our case, the garden suburb. Putting this into a Lindfield housing strategy might look like this. Instead of a concentration predominantly in high-rise apartments within 800 metres of the station, an alternative might be to disperse some of the increase to other areas and into other housing types. A model based on enhancing and expanding the existing 5 neighbourhood centres that radiate from Lindfield Village at the station maybe should be considered. Diagrammatically, this hub and spoke incorporating West and East Lindfield shops, Lindfield Learning Hub, the former UTS, and the area around Killara and Roseville stations. These neighbourhood centres have shops and good residential amenity that can accommodate low-scale forms like townhouses, villas, terraces, and manor houses with fairly minimal impact. The area around Lindfield Station can continue to accommodate 7-storey apartment buildings, as well as a mix of mixed-use buildings along the Pacific Highway. There is an opportunity to incorporate gentle density across the overall suburb, introducing well-designed additions that integrate with the existing housing character. Underpinning the hub and spoke concept is the enhancement of the existing bus services that already exist that link Macquarie Park, Chatswood, Gordon, and of course, Lindfield stations. Conceptually, it might look like this: the Lindfield Village Hub as the heart of our new village, as Support Lindfield has envisaged. Yes, we do need to get on with this project, and we do need the bridge to be put in place across the Pacific Highway. Site amalgamations could create mixed-use precincts replacing the shops on the Pacific Highway. In this case, we think 7 is sensible. The fringe areas could contain apartments designed for owner-occupiers, local downsizers that don't want to live on the highway and want something that feels more like a home. We have a very good example of this, the Mirvac apartments on Tryon Road, which have been there for nearly 15 years. From when the North Shore Line was built until about the 1930s, there were some great apartment buildings developed along the stations of Lindfield, Killara and Roseville. They resemble large manor houses and sit comfortably in the suburb. While maintaining architectural integrity, the opportunity exists to convert larger existing houses to manor homes. Again, Corrigo has some good examples of these. The East Lindfield shops represent an opportunity to enhance the village feel and within a defined area allow high quality townhouses, villas and terraces. A good example of the missing middle typologies that people want to live in. Similar thinking applies to West Lindfield shops. The last concept goes to the heart of the gentle density idea where small, well-designed dwellings can be added to the existing housing in the form of granny flats, Fonzie flats over garages and garden apartments. For some, it would accommodate extended family. For others, a rental income in retirement that helps the younger in our community. If titled independently, they could be affordable homes for couples starting out and struggling with a deposit. Think key workers, teachers, nurses who service our community but can't afford to live here. Well, thank you for listening to the end. Help tell council what you want. Please complete the survey. And remember, all views do count. And of course, ask your friends and neighbours to do the same. Thank you.